Here to do the business and win a national championship in men's soccer, the Stanford Cardinal have won 3 out of the last 4 national championships. For the Georgetown Hoyas, could this be their year, the Big East Conference champions? It is the NCAA Men's College Cup here in a wet, rainy, and cold Cary, North Carolina. Number 7 Stanford getting set to take on number 3 Georgetown in our opening semifinal. Take a look at the brackets. Here's how the teams got here. It's Stanford, Georgetown. Back end of the night, the second match will be Wake Forest and Virginia, an all-ACC matchup. And welcome in, everybody. I'm Glenn Davis. Alongside me, Devin Kern. It is no mean feat to be one of the 4 final teams here competing for a national championship in Cary. But let's go to these 2 teams, Stanford and Georgetown, remarkable seasons.
How interesting, looking at them, how different they are in the way that they go about getting things done. Georgetown, a team that uses a lot of personnel. They rotate their shape a lot. Stanford's the exact opposite. Jeremy Gunn and his boys, a well-oiled machine, very contrasting in styles. It's going to be really fun to watch how it plays out. Jeremy
used those words, well-oiled machine, and they are defensively.
So you start from the back line. The 4, in particular, the center backs. Tanner Beeson, Matt Herman, semifinalist. Keegan Hughes, a freshman. And it's not often that a youngster like that makes a regular appearance, but on this back line, he is quite impressive. But they need a leader, someone to really push them going forward. That's Andrew Thomas. He spent some time with the USU 23s, and this is why. 30 yards out, absolutely not a problem whatsoever. He reads the boys coming forward, and especially the big number 9s that like to peel off the center backs, knows exactly which direction they're going to go, especially from the spot. Stayed 4 out of 6 for Seattle earlier this tournament.
For Georgetown, they are counting on Jacob Montez to make plays.
All the rotation that we talked about, Glenn, comes down to the 2 number 10s, but it's going to rest on this young man's shoulder, the Big East midfielder of the year that is so dynamic in a multitude of ways. And watch him. You've already seen him from outside the box in set pieces. Now you're on skates. Constantly keeps you guessing. This is the type of player that always makes you keep your head on a swivel.
When we started the season, 205 NCAA Division I men's soccer team. We are down to 4. When we come back, lineups, kickoff, coming up next in Cary. Mother Nature has wreaked havoc on Cary, North Carolina. All kinds of rain falling here, about 46 degrees. Grounds crew doing a great job of moving some of this water, but the conditions will be a challenge here tonight in Cary. Start with the Stanford lineup under Jeremy Gunn. They've won 3 out of the last 4 national titles.
Glenn, we talked about the back 4 and the goalkeeper, how impressive they were. How about the boys in the middle? Jared Gilby, he'll actually create a diamond shape with Cam Silly sitting just underneath. Waldeck on the left, watch him from set pieces. Charlie Weehan will tuck in a little bit, but the key focal point is going to be number 11, Oseni Buddha up top, Pac-12 freshman of the year. He will stretch and constantly challenge this back line of the Georgetown Hoyas. We talked to you about how their shape changes. This is why. Dylan Gillis on the right-hand side, number 12. He'll step forward, really overload, and allow Riviere to step in and overload that box, creating almost 5 or 6 at times, really challenging Cillian Gilby. The question is, Derek Dodson, can he be the lone gunman? Or if the guys are coming around behind them, can they challenge that back 4?
Game on in Cary, North Carolina, semifinal number 1. Stanford Cardinal taking on the Georgetown Hoyas. Hoyas in gray, the Cardinal in white. Jeremy Gunn, 8th year in charge, has really taken this program to incredible heights here as you see the national titles here. And it would be 4 out of 5 if they were to win this one. 7 straight NCAA appearances, 14-2-5 on the year for the Cardinal. Brian Weiss took over in 2006. It's his 14th year, 2012 National Coach of the Year. He has been to a final. He is yet to win a national championship. That is a big piece for Georgetown, and they've done it again. They are here at a College Cup. They switch a play here. Here, stretched out. See the field a little heavier in certain areas here with water holding. It has been incessant rain all day long. 90%, 100% rain. Clock will tick down in the college game. Get a look there at J.B. Fisher. go to the Georgetown keys to the game here tonight, Devin?
We'll start with Dylan Gillis, the up and down game. We said that he was one of the bigger ones you have to keep an eye on, but it's because of his ability to be a two-way player. We know that he's a phenomenal defender, but he's got to provide support going forward. And then you continue forth. What else? Zawadzki in the middle. He is the most important player to this entire team. He'll play the 6. He wears the 6. And it's allow the rest of the boys going forward to maintain that shape. When Dylan goes, he has to sit. Last but not least, maintain shape at all costs. You tie all those focal points together. That's how they've been so successful.
And away by Waldeck, and he'll chase everything down in midfield here today. This is Dylan Gillis off the throw. One of the real leaders. Look there quickly at Zawadzki. He run one off the crossbar against Washington. It was a 2-1 win in the Elite 8 for Georgetown. And it was a comeback win. Over the top they go. This is Stanford with Buddha in pursuit. You gotta have your antennas up when he's in the area. Georgetown goes direct here. And again, you can see the water very heavy on that far side of the field. Here's Georgetown now. They've got support. Riviere crosses headed away. Second ball picked up. Lash! Oh, what a hit! Spectacular goal. The power of Sean Zawadzki has put the Georgetown Hoyas up.
We haven't even talked about this young man and the fact that he's actually had a couple repetitions in training with the U.S. men's national team. This is why we said he controls everything going forward. He likes to have a little fun himself as well. His 3rd goal on the season, and with emphatic fashion from distance. Lovely coming off the second chance balls, pushing that forth. He brings that deep line in, comes about 30 yards from where he normally is, and just unleashes to the far corner.
Could it have been hit any sweeter? What a start for Georgetown.
Something we got to remember, Glenn, in that game against Washington, everything that they did. Now, Brian, we said that was the most talented team that they played, and they had to do a lot of it with Zawadzki being out. Unfortunately, he went down. The question mark coming in, was he going to be healthy? We stoked that fire all week long, trying to get a peek behind the curtain, and they wouldn't let up. Not until yesterday did we find out that he's been training well and in top-notch form. That's a pretty good representation.
Let's remind you that 12 goals, now 13 in College Cup play. And in this tournament run for Georgetown, they are the highest scoring team. They hit Pitt for 5, they hit Louisville for 5, they had the comeback victory against Washington 2-1 with goals from Montez and Dodson, so proving that they do have the powers of recovery. But so does Stanford. Plenty of soccer to be played here tonight.
Was scored by number 6, Sean Zawadzki. His 3rd of the season.
Montez off the turn, and it's going to be a free kick, Georgetown. And he does, with his ability to run at defenders, earn a lot of free kicks, and we know how dangerous Montez is on them.
From this distance here, this is much more suited from a distribution standpoint. That's Paul Rothrock standing over the ball. Riviere just next to him, and they'll just allow some of the bigger boys from the back line come up, have a little bit of fun. Real Hope Gunn, Daniel Wu. Of course, Dylan Gillis can jump out of the gym if need be, metaphorically speaking.
Rothrock, 3 goals, 7 assists on the year. And it will be Rothrock to deliver to the far post, and it's overhit there. Let's go back to how this NCAA College Cup has started here in Cary, North Carolina, in emphatic fashion on a second ball.
Watch this ball sit, though. We were watching during warm-ups all the standing water. This side of the field was one of the reasons, and look at that thing, just dies on the ground. It allows not only the ball to sit up, but to allow supporting runs to come up. The ball, that's a big no-no by Stanford. You're going to clear this ball. You kids at home, that's got to go away from the point of attack, puts it right down the middle. Zawadzki makes him pay.
It was a blurry orb that blew by Andrew Thomas. Absolute sweetest of hits from Sean Zawadzki. Remember, he hit the He hit the crossbar against Washington as well. Here's Stanford's keys to the game, Devin.
I say follow the smoking gun because Jeremy Gunn's seen it all. From the time that he stepped onto the sideline as a coach, he has experienced everything at a multitude of levels. And being that manager, these young men need to follow him into battle. He's done it before, he can do it again. We said attack, defend, repeat. That's why they've gotten here. You don't have a massive amount of names that jump off the page, but it's everybody following the appropriate line, maintaining that proper composition. That's why they are that well-oiled machine that Jeremy Gunn likes to refer to them to.
Take a look at the program history here. 7 college cups, 3 national championships. Between Jeremy Gunn and Brian Weiss, you have 2 men that have taken these 2 programs to differing heights now. Clock will tick down in the college game. Let's take a look at Brian Weiss. Already a group of fans here that have come out as the rain continues to come down here. But adapting to the conditions, obviously a very big key here tonight.
The boys on the back line for Stanford that we applauded with so much praise coming into this match, they're having a little bit of trouble so far judging the way that this ball is not necessarily sitting up on the pitch, dying down in the corner. That obviously led to the goal. And it's very difficult, former center back myself, to judge something like that when Mother Nature gets involved is one of the most difficult things to do. That's where communication becomes that much more important. Create this proper back line of 4, maintain your shape, and they've struggled with that opening 10 minutes.
Nicopolitis will knock this forward. He gets a start in this game for Georgetown, but they have rotated goalkeepers throughout the year, which is very, very unique. And both goalkeepers have lived up to the moments when they have had to play. In the case of Giannis Nicopolitis, his father was the goalkeeper for Greece in the 2004 European Championships, where they won it remarkably over Portugal.
They were massive underdogs then. Big names like Cristiano Ronaldo, Deco, Luis Figo. And Greece took over, and there's a good look at the comparison. And to be eligible for the accolades nationwide, you have to have at least 15 appearances for your college. Neither one of them steps in. If they did, by the way, those numbers, they'd be best for 2nd and 3rd of the nation. So that gives you an idea of exactly what they have working between the pipes. Only once this year have they both gone back-to-back, and they actually did it in 4 consecutive games, end of September, beginning of October. Asking Brian Weiss if they would change anything up. He said, why would we? We've gotten here. We might as well keep it going.
Buddha. Off the turn, still Buddha. He's brought down. That's going to be a free kick for Stanford here. A young freshman with a tremendous upside and talent with 5 goals and 5 assists.
Gillis knows that he gets himself in trouble, and Stanford needs to use this as an opportunity to hit that reset button. You're 10 minutes into a match. Obviously the rain, a little bit of chill in the air, and you're down a goal. So now you've moved into your opponent's 3rd. You've been able to reset your lines. Go after the goalkeeper from this distance. Remember, they're struggling with the same things that you are. Put one into the middle of the box and just challenge Nicopolitis.
Pancho Waldeck stand over it for Stanford.
Line!
8 assists for Logan Pancho in the year out of St. Louis, Missouri. Pancho delivers, bending ball. Oh, it's flicked on, but it's a second ball picked up here. Coming out of there beautifully was Montez. Montez has played it wide. Rivieri. He's got good running. He's going to give it up here to Rothrock, who along the end line, he's going to keep this in. Rothrock squares it back. Stanford recovers, but elusive along the end line was Paul Rothrock. Zawadzki. 8 is Fisher. Daniel Wu now, a freshman. Nice breakout play here from Georgetown.
Remember, this is your left midfielder coming off of a set piece. He is combining with Riviera's counterpart on the right-hand side. Quick-footed ability down to the byline, looking for a ball back across. And you could see just a little bit there, Stanford having problems right now adjusting for all these pieces coming forward. We mentioned how much rotation there is. That man right there, Dylan Neal, standing on the ball, has pushed himself in basically into the right midfielder position.
Dodson's ball to the near post, handled there easily by Andrew Thomas from London, England. Spent some time in the Watford Youth Program overseas. That has been outstanding. All Pac-12 first team, and has provided some sparkling and timely saves for Stanford. Just looking at that, 6 of 11 penalties saved in the postseason.
If I'm standing in goal and a 3-year-old's taking shots at me, I can't save that many. Are you kidding me? It's quite impressive from that young man.
That footage we had on him in the Open with some of those saves was absolutely stunning. Eye-popping stuff. Waldeck lays it down. There's Buddha now from Burkina Faso. Buddha. I would think Devon's second balls here tonight on this slick surface. And we've already witnessed from the opening goal from Zawadzki, very important.
Notice the reaction with the speed as well. Georgetown definitely moving the needle in that aspect. Buddha up top's quick, but right now Rothrock, Riviera on the right-hand side. Zawadzki obviously on the goal. It's not just the second ball, it's the ability on that first step to get there. And they're not just one movement coming out of Georgetown. There's 2-3 players challenging these balls right now.
No, we're fine. We're fine. We're fine.
Second balls on a night like tonight will lead to chances. Direct ball. Buddha's in pursuit here. A decision's going to have to be made. And just conceding the throw in there is Nikopolidis. Knocked forward by Keegan Hughes. It'll be another free kick now. And again, it's Montez. Montez lashes out with his right arm here. The referee is Mike Stutt. A lot of pent-up energy from these teams, players that have been taking exams. We have to remind ourselves that these are student athletes. And some of the Stanford players, to my knowledge, were taking exams this morning.
Stanford players were taking exams this morning. How about the schedule that Bobby Muse out of Wake Forest was talking to us about, how on Wednesday morning they took exams. They had about a 4-hour window, trained with them, and then had exams in the afternoon. And it's just, you have to have a level of appreciation, right?
Gillis trying to curl it towards the corner flag and pick out Dodson. We haven't talked much about Derek Dodson, but he was all Big East first team, 10 goals, 8 assists out of Aurora, Illinois, and he is a great target, a great number 9 for Georgetown. Here is Dodson, the back heel. Fisher, Gillis, Fisher. Switch of play is on here, and Fisher will change it. Georgetown looking very sharp here to start this. Shot is blocked when it was hit there by Montez. Tomorrow afternoon on ESPN, the ESPN app, we've got a great men's college basketball doubleheader for you. Bitter rivalry game between Penny Hardaway's 13th ranked Memphis Tigers, Rick Barnes' 19th ranked Tennessee Vols in Knoxville. 3 Eastern, then John Calipari in number 8 Kentucky, and Georgia Tech at Rupp Arena in Lexington. That is a good NCAA men's basketball doubleheader tomorrow.
A little fun at that Memphis-Tennessee game, huh? These guys going at each other.
Well, Georgetown does have a wonderful wide game with Nealis and Rothrock, so that's something Stanford's going to have to contend with here tonight. Cardinal off the throw, setting up for a long throw here. There's the variation off it. They go to the feet of Buddha. Buddha's cross is partially blocked. Trying to break through there was Montez. Look at that, Montez back doing the defensive side of things here tonight, Devin.
Every single coach that we talk to that's involved with this tournament, talking about Georgetown, what did they say? All hands on deck when it comes to defending. It's not just Dylan Gillis on the right or Sean O'Hearn on the left. You have to be able to account for all 11 of them because they're willing to step out and really go at you. I like the response right now from Stanford, though. They've started to move their line a bit higher and go after this defensive shape. They got to do something because you're 17 minutes into this and really haven't pushed anything up top yet.
But no real panic evident at all here from the Stanford Cardinal. Waldeck set to take it. Senior from Santa Clarita, California. 4 goals, 8 assists on the year for him. This will be an in-swinger. That's a good curling ball. First to it is Georgetown. Tingy. Another throw in here for Stanford. Well, good movement here. Buddha whips in a good looking cross. Top of the box, potential shooting opportunity here. Ball's whipped in, oh, it just goes across the face of goal. Not able to apply the final touch was Zach Ryan out of Chatham, New Jersey.
Logan Poncho reads this so appropriately. Watch this little pump fake right around the defender. Lovely movement. And as you mentioned, doesn't hit the panic button. Second chance opportunities are definitely running this game right now. And I'd like to see a bit better of reading by Zach Ryan up top. Buddha's doing a good job working off the ball, spraying balls back across, peeling off that shoulder. But we need to see more out of Zach Ryan. And I want to go back to your point as well. Up 1-0, cruising in the game a little bit, even though Stanford's starting to respond. This is going to be 90 minutes and beyond for Georgetown. Again, this is a Stanford squad that they can be off their mark a little bit. It does not matter. They will push you to the brink and beyond, making you work for that victory.
They are efficient. They are organized. They, as you used in the open, a well-oiled machine. Those were the words of Jeremy Gunn. These are players that do not take plays off. And it's quite the remarkable culture that has been created, winning 3 national championships in the last 4 years. There you see them, 15, 16, and 17. Only team to have matched that was Bruce Arena and Virginia with 3 straight. Good look at Derek Waldeck, 22 career assists for him. And it's Dylan Nealis off the throw, who's on the radar of most every Major League Soccer team. Kind of a hybrid, right-sided player that loves to get up and down. But boy, he can go box to box, which is something that I would think would make some of the MLS scouts and general managers watering at the mouth.
It's one of those players when you're doing the scouting report, watching tape, you kind of just go, oh man, this kid's on my side of the field, and you just hope for the best at all your trainings there because he's a wonder to work with.
Riviere sweeping that away, and going to ground there was Keegan Hughes. Nicely knock it back. It's going to pull Stanford out a little bit. You get the sense that Stanford now growing into this game, as you mentioned, Devin.
I like the reference that you just alluded to a little bit with Jeremy Gunn, how he compared styles of plays to countries, and he said how Italy had their operatic symphony, Spain had its oil paintings, and Germany was a well-oiled machine. Felt like they were exactly the same.
Stanford on the attack. This is a good build-up, good whip. They cross, Buddha! Oh, just goes wide. Tremendous build-up. Came from their own half of the field. And in the end, they create a decent look here, and the freshman Buddha trying to get on the end of it.
Sometimes with all the elements, the machine just needs a bit of oil to get going, and they're starting to find those cracks now. Beautiful rotation all the way to the right side. And this little flick here, you wonder if this ball needs to be sprayed all the way to the near post, but I like Buddha reading it off the bounce. That's really difficult to do. Almost sneaks it in that far post.
Stanford has brought on Arda Balut. And there's a look at some of the numbers and information on Buddha. Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, 5 goals, 5 assists. According to his coach, Jeremy Gunn, the most humble kid you will ever meet. So with all the attention he's getting, he has remained tremendously grounded here.
The substitution for Stanford.
Devin, you speak 4 languages?
I'm barely getting by on one. I mean, it's 4. It's a tall ask, right?
Spanglish count?
I can count. It's 10 on 2 hands.
Sean, right. Sean, you're right.
Coverage of the NCAA championships continues with the Men's College Cup final on Sunday, 6 Eastern on ESPNU. For more information on the NCAA Men's College Cup, log on to ncaa.com. It is the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. Second semifinal tonight, and it is going to be an ACC battle between the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest and the Cavaliers of Virginia, 2 proud programs in their own right. And we'd expect a few more bodies to come into here to Wake Med Park here. Stepping up there, and we haven't mentioned a lot of him, but a tremendous center back in Tanner Beeson.
Glenn, with Stanford's ability to start to impose some of their own will in this match, notice how direct Georgetown is starting to play. They've gotten away from putting the ball on the deck and really trying to stretch this defense. That rotation that we talked about, it's not non-existent right now, but you're not seeing as much simplistic passes as we saw in the opening 10 minutes where they were putting the ball on the deck and really going after him. They need to get back to that because Stanford's really starting to counterpunch.
Gillis. Oh, wonderful, like he had eyes in the back of his head. What a switch there from J.B. Fisher. And in conversation yesterday, these coaches, I mean, they are just so committed to their programs, and you know, when they talk with so much pride and energy and passion. They never lose sight of the fact that these are student athletes, but boy, these 4 college coaches impressive that are here this weekend. Georgetown now, real heavy, thick water in the box here. No free kick called, it's still loose, and Stanford's going to clear it. Water splashing everywhere. It's a long hit here, and that one's going to skip wide to the right of goalkeeper Andrew Thomas. That hit coming from J.B. Fisher. Sands will come on for Rothrock, and Char on for Rivera.
It's pretty traditional in terms of substitutions for Brian Weiss. Got that 1 goal cushion, allows some of the boys that made it into the 11 to get a breather, especially with having to account for the elements right now. Will Sands, of course, the brother of James Sands, youngster for NYCFC, who is a bit more of a traditional role in the number 6 holding midfielder position. Will Sands flies a bit more dynamic out on that left-hand side, but he has got some speed and a technical player that has some of the better footwork on this squad.
Georgetown's won it back here. Here's a Chara now. He's driving into the box. Ball gets stuck in the heavy slogged water over there. And Stanford now will knock it out. So let's talk about Achara getting the minutes here. This is a good boost now for Georgetown, as he's had some problems as of late getting on the field.
Fortunately for him and in this program, he's had problems ever since he got here back in 2016, where only 8 appearances in 16, 11 in 17, and last year, even then you saw a glimpse. 6 goals and 4 assists in 13 appearances, and the speed for him is going to be the key factor here, where you've got Derek Dodson Great at hold-up play. He can allow the guys to play off of him a little bit. We're already starting to see that. But with Achara, he'll drop in next to Jacob Montez and watch him spin off. They'll really try and get the ball out in front of him and use the speed that he possesses to full effect. They've been lacking that a little bit.
Achara from Nigeria has had an ankle problem. Beautifully brought down there by Buddha. And it's won back by Georgetown. Is the X factor for Georgetown their depth in comparison to the other teams in this College Cup?
100%. 2 games in 48 hours.
Ball whipped in, speared away there. A sliding clearance here from Tanner Beeson, who had a goal against Clemson in their Elite Eight matchup against a very, very good Clemson and Mike Noonan. Of course, Georgetown getting past excellent Washington team coached by Jamie Clark.
About Keegan Hughes. That's that corner we talked about. Slip and slide and a semifinal.
What center back doesn't want to do that?
Package, right? I'm down for that. I don't think I could work that into my contract, though.
Malute went up.
How interesting for Brian Weiss telling us in that matchup with Jamie Clark of Washington how difficult it was because they're such close friends and have known each other for so long, but he paid them a lot of respect, said that that was the most talented program they've seen all year long.
Dotson, Montez, some of the big names for Georgetown. Montez shot his block, took a deflection. And again, a second ball in the box here. Who's going to win this? It's going to be a foul on Georgetown. Free kick for the Stanford Cardinal. 6-2-2 in the Pac-12. 7th seed coming into this weekend. Tomorrow, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN. The ESPN app will have the 85th annual Heisman Trophy ceremony from New York City. LSU's Joe Burrow, Oklahoma's Jalen Hurts, Ohio State's Justin Fields, or his teammate Chase Young. Who will it be? Heisman Trophy ceremony is presented by Nissan. Heisman of soccer is called the Mac Herman. 2 of these players on display, including Dylan Nealis right now for Georgetown. Joe Bell in Virginia up later today, and Robbie Robinson, a wonderful striker from Clemson.
One of those boys that seemed like every time that team stepped on the field, 2, 3, 4 goals in the back of the net. The question mark was going to be when they were up against it, how would their defense hold up? Well, VA answered that one in the conference tournament when it funneled over. Of course, everything getting stretched a little bit and just couldn't finish things off. But 3 fantastic talents, and it's going to be a fun one. I'll be interested to see how that turns itself out.
Again, Georgetown in gray, Stanford, Cardinal red and black. This is a very talented Tanner Beeson. He was a Herman semifinalist from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Remarkably, as a center back, 20 goals in his career, including one in the Elite Eight against Clemson.
Senny Buddha up top has to be just a bit careful here because, especially when you're right in front of the referee, you got to go straight up. That vertical jump cannot carry any momentum whatsoever. That's why he gets himself in trouble. And we're talking about Tanner Beeson and his talent. Remember, this is only his 14th appearance on the year. A guy that struggled with injury a little bit and still to make it on that list.
Achara now is going to get a good shot off there. It's a nice tester under these conditions and handled cleanly there by Andrew Thomas. So Achara has added a nice spark here to Georgetown. Stanford looking to get this thrown in here. Gabe Siegel has come on with his 6 goals, a freshman from Bethesda, Maryland for Stanford. So both teams making some changes here. But again, Georgetown could go 18, 19 deep. And Georgetown, the offside flag is up on the far side of the field. And finally, referee Mike Stunt sees it. This is only a fourth meeting all time between these two teams. And Georgetown, with 2 wins and a draw, have never lost to Stanford. 1-0 Georgetown lead over Stanford. We are in Cary, North Carolina. This is the Wake Med Soccer Park. This is the NCAA Men's College Cup. As Stanford down a goal here to Georgetown. It was 4 minutes in. Glenn Davis alongside Devin Kerr. The first of 2 semifinals here tonight. Rainy conditions here, 46 degrees. There is some standing water on this field, but we've been treated to an energetic first half between the best in the Big East and the Pac-12's Stanford Cardinal, who have won 3 out of the last 4 national titles. Good look at Achara out of Nigeria, the senior. Some movement across the top of the 18 here. Stanford off this free kick. Diagonal ball. Hitter is won there by the big center back Tanner Beeson. Waldeck. And that's going to slowly go out for a goal kick to Georgetown. Let's go back and show you how things started here. 4 minutes in. This is a goal for the ages here from Georgetown.
Got a little help from the elements down in the corner as it held itself up, and this gets cleared right down the middle. An absolute no-no in terms of defending. Sean Zawadzki, we said that he was going to be the one to pull the strings all night long. He does, but he lets it rip from about 30 yards out, emphatic fashion, and there's no apologies necessary on that one. That's just really well done by a young man coming out of the Crew Academy.
We heard the contact up here in our booth. That was hit as sweet as it could be. 3rd of the year for him. And now we're seeing Brian Weiss really going to his bench a lot here now, bringing on a number of different players. Jack Beer is on, as well as Dante Polvara. And again, you've talked a lot about this, Devin, about their depth coming into this weekend and how important it can be when you play on a Friday and potentially a Sunday.
Keep an eye specifically right now for Georgetown, how much the shape starts to change a little bit. Polvara will definitely tuck himself in a lot more, and this is when they really start to overload. We've seen 3-4 pieces moving into the middle. Now they can make it 5 and 6, and that's where the rotation caused so many problems in the opening 10 minutes for Stanford. Brian Weiss trying to stoke that fire a bit more, maybe grab a second one just before halftime.
Ball still loose in the box, and pouncing on it is Andrew Thomas. At a nervy moment there.
Almost lost this one in the lights, didn't he? And just coming off of one of his own defenders, Andrew Thomas, having a bit of trouble tracking it. And you can't tell at home, the rain is still heavily coming down. I'd still like to see someone pull the trigger from distance here. Outside of the Zawadzki strike in the opening 10 minutes, everything has been quite traditional. You've seen a couple good switches, really like some of that out of Georgetown, going from right to left. But as difficult as it can be for the goalkeepers, you get an opportunity 20, 25 yards out, put something on the deck, let it skip a little bit and go after one of these guys.
Trying to throw in Anchara there was Gillis. Feathery control there from Buddha. Nice work from Buddha. Works a give and go here. And in the end, broken up by Rio Hope Gund, junior from New York. But as you have mentioned to me before this tournament, you're a big fan of Buddha up front, and he has provided some nice moments here as a freshman. Balut knocked the header down. Corner for Stanford here after that work from Jared Gilby. Under 10 minutes left in the first half. Here's the College Cup storylines. Virginia has been dominant in this tournament. Stanford seeking a fourth title in 5 seasons. We've mentioned that a lot. And Wake Forest is 0-16-5 against UVA in postseason play, which is a remarkable stat. Both of us looked at that and we were pretty stunned and wondered if it might have been a typo. It is not. Stanford off the corner. Big towering header there from Daniel Wu. Chara. He's a one-man show. Ovara. Back to Chara, and that might have been an attack he would have hoped to have gotten a better ending to.
Well, this is some of the stuff I was talking about with Achara. He just adds that extra dimension. Unfortunately, the slip on the backside. That's where the goal came from, though. That far left side, one-on-one situation. Achara doing most of it on his own. And again, Georgetown with all of the rotation in their players, just finding another gear right now.
Riley Strassner, a senior from Avon, Connecticut. Brian Weiss really going heavy to his bench here. "17 players now used here in the first half by Georgetown." Here comes the Stanford Cardinal now. Stanford's going to get a free kick here. Under 8 minutes left here in the first half. Once you're subbed out in the first half, you can't return. In the second half, you can return once. So substitution patterns, as always, including in a condensed tournament over the course of 3 days, very, very important and can be very influential.
You talked about Buddha for Stanford, someone that we need to go back to for a second. Arda Balut coming on. That's not a substitution pattern with Zach Ryan going off. He went down early in the Clemson game, and we weren't sure as to whether or not he was going to be able to make it a full 90. I think we've answered that question as he went off right around 20 minutes in.
Waldeck is going to get there. He's going to use the feet here of Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas in goal for Stanford, by the way, has citizenship from 3 countries: England, Russia, and the United States. He is a redshirt sophomore. Buddha trying to get turned here. Defended well there by Dylan Nealis. Here's Nealis. Balut. Gilby. Frenetic pace here. Achara has got a lot of space here on the right side. He's going to bend the ball in here. Shot safe, Thomas. It goes in. Offside flag is up. It will not count.
This is close. This is close, Glenn. I'll tell you what. That back post run, ball's out in front. There's a runner behind him as well. From that angle, he looks off. Really well done. Strassner coming up through the middle. Achara spreading this back 4 out wide. That's what they needed to do, how they were so successful all season long. The timing with the elements caused a bit of issues up top. Thought that was 2 for Georgetown.
And what a way to have ended the first half here if they had picked off a second goal. And again, as Devin said, Riley Strassner, who had just come off the bench there, a senior from Avon, Connecticut, 21st appearance for him tonight. A quality delivery there from Achara. Achara has made a difference.
He was actually dealing with the same timing down on this near touchline when it was played to him on the right side of things, and it's a very difficult thing to get right, especially when you've got a couple runners going in there. One checks near, one goes far. That downhill motion for Tanner Beeson and Keegan Hughes just having a little trouble tracking. There are so many runners coming up through, and if it's not Riley Strassner, Jack Breer starts to come through. Dante Povara, of course, the opening goal by Sean Zawatsky as well.
Stanford Stanford having a tough time getting out of their own half here. Some good pressure being put on here by Georgetown. Georgetown scoring 2.41 goals per game. And conceding less than a goal a game. Bent, but have not broken here. Stanford tries to get the cross in. Going to go out for the throw-in. Of course, the Stanford women winning the Women's College Cup last weekend, so they're going to go for a double here.
Rio, just talk to us.
Buddha. Cross is blocked, but another throw in here for Stanford. Now ticking down towards 3 minutes left here in the first half of Cary, North Carolina. 4th minute goal is the difference. John Zawadzki, an absolute screamer to put Georgetown up early. Coming up at halftime, NCAA National Semifinal preview of Wake Forest and Virginia. ESPN team visits Pediatric Cancer Center. What a moment it was for all of us. And Zawadzki's goal from distance, igniting the Hoyas. It was one way to kick off the NCAA College Cup. But that hit 4 minutes in.
A little Sports Center special. Get us going.
Absolute bomb.
Gonna take a bit more than that right now. That these two teams are going back and forth. Starting to make friends as the referee's going to have a word with Achara. Everything has changed since he's come on, hasn't it? They haven't had a goal from his production, but he has really started to get them back into this. Stanford, for that 15-20 minute stretch, had done well for themselves. I'd like to see more ball movement, though, still. The boys in the middle, Cam Cillian, now Will Richmond, which was Jared Gilby. They've got to find a way to connect the dots because Buddha up top has been so isolated next to Arda Balut. They got to drop one back in, start to overload some of this in the middle that Georgetown is throwing at them.
Gillis tries to curl a ball in, defended very well by Beeson and the two center backs. Of course, Will Richmond is out of Piedmont, California. He's got a goal in 21 appearances. And we rode down in the elevator, you and I, with his parents who were going out to buy some rain gear to get prepared to come here and watch their son play here in this semifinal.
Got Richmond's parents on the way down, got Jared Gilby's parents on the way up. Found out that his father was a Chelsea supporter. We had a nice conversation about that, picking up Pulisic in the transfer window. And got to give these kids a lot of credit for everything that they have to go through. And it's lovely to see families like that come all the way across the country to support their children, given the opportunity.
Of interesting notes here. Georgetown has now outscored opponents in the NCAA tournament here. This is their 4th game, 13-2. And good news for Hoya fans. Georgetown is 10-0-1 when leading at the half. Well, Brian Weiss has to be happy with this start here. He's got a lead. He has been able to filter in a number of players. Here's Buddha now. Stanford on the break. Tremendous work defensively. Georgetown committed to the cause here today. Strasner. Cleared by Beeson. Good look there at Keegan Hughes. Again, only a freshman stepping into the Stanford lineup.
Certainly doesn't play like one. He's got the tall stature and high IQ.
Alvaro.
Doesn't hurt to have Tanner Beeson next to you, by the way.
No question. And you heard the shout there from Andrew Thomas, very confidently off his line to command his box. Less than a minute left here in the first half. Clock will tick down to 0. Buddha called for the foul, got underneath Georgetown's number 17, Dante Polvara. Stanford have gotten into the final third, but still it's only one shot. They did have a couple of dangerous crosses. Boxing it out there is Thomas. First half is going to come to an end here.
5, 4.
Your thoughts, Devin, on the first 45 here for both Georgetown and Stanford?
Like the start by Georgetown, like the finish by Georgetown. A bit problematic for Stanford, but this game is far from over. Second 45 minutes, emotions are going to start to roar. I would like to continue to see that rotation out of Georgetown, but for Stanford, they got to find a way to get on the ball a bit more. I don't mind chasing, but they're just chasing too much right now.
It's a 4th-minute goal, 3rd of the year for Sean Zawadzki. The rain continuing to pour down here in Cary, North Carolina, and it is a 1-0 Georgetown lead here. Let's go down to the coach of Stanford, Jeremy Gunn. Jeremy, thank you very much for joining us here under these conditions. We'll make this quick. Just how about some initial thoughts from you on the first half?
It's wet. Yeah, we didn't start very well, did we? They were a little bit sharper than us, and obviously they get a great strike that builds their confidence and rocks us a little bit. So it was a struggle. We couldn't pass, we couldn't hit it because it was just so wet with the ball. But we'll be sharper second half. We're only a goal down, so there's lots to play for second half, and we'll give it a go.
Coach, we saw Zach Ryan come off, and Beluco's up top next to Buddha. Buddha seemed to be quite active, but maybe lacking that 1-2 punch that you're looking for, something that you're going to address at halftime?
Yeah, we just got to get, we've got to play better all the way around. Sorry, guys, my mouth's cold. I can't even talk. No, we've got to get the ball moving, and then when we do that, we'll then cause them a bit more trouble up front. But at the moment, it's too easy for them, and I think we'll hopefully attack a little bit better in the second half.
Jeremy, thank you very much for your time. We'll let you get back to work.
Thank you, guys.
Jeremy Gunn seems pretty calm here, despite being down 1-0 here to Georgetown. Stay with us on ESPN. Coming up, we'll preview Wake Forest, Virginia, which is national semifinal number 2. Coming after this, Georgetown 1, Stanford 0. Welcome back to Cary, North Carolina. Earlier this week on Wednesday, we had the opportunity to go to the UNC hospital system, the pediatric cancer ward. My friend Dr. Pat Thompson leading the way, Megan Fox, the director of support programs. We visited all these amazing cancer warriors: Hannah, Kieran, Tucker, Elwin, Mick, Jalen, Elijah, JC, and Maddie. And Devin, what an inspirational day it was for us to be in their presence.
What a great start to finish event. And when you guys reached out and said, would you be interested in getting involved in this? Absolutely. Hit the ground running. Anytime that we get an opportunity to get back to the community, we'll jump at it. And I thought it was great how the ESPN community rallied around everybody and gave these kids an awesome opportunity to have a little fun. So much so that chatting with them, we went further than fun. They let me know they were interested in broadcasting. So we're probably going to be out of a job in a couple years. But that being said, it all goes back to what the great Jim Valvano said. And he said, every day you need to do 3 things. You need to think, you need to laugh, and you need to move your emotions in a positive manner. And we got the opportunity to do that and so much more. And for that, my friend, I am grateful.
From staff to the patients family, truly an inspirational day this week for all of us, including our producer, Todd Gillis, and director, Jim. If you want to donate, v.org/donate. All donations benefit the V Foundation for Cancer Research. We'll take a break here in Cary, North Carolina. More to come. Welcome back to the Men's College Cup here in Cary, North Carolina. Halftime, Georgetown with a 1-0 lead over Stanford. We quickly go down to the field to Georgetown head coach Brian Weiss. Brian, thank you very much for your time. What'd you tell your team in the locker room here at halftime?
It's incredibly tough conditions. We said you're not allowed to pass backwards, especially in the half that we're defending. It's a little heavier, so I think we have a little bit better playing field up in our attacking third. So we really want to get it as far forward as efficiently as we can, and then we hope to try to be able to play some soccer at that point.
Coach, opening 15 minutes, pretty much pushing the pace. Last 15 minutes, nice. There was a window there where Stanford started to come back a little bit. You made the substitutions. Was that kind of your thought plan coming into this? Go out, get that goal, and be able to make all those changes, get your boys fresh legs, and pump the tempo again second half?
Yeah, I mean, get the lead is always what we hope for, but we rely on our depth all year, and we're going to be making these subs, and it's a little bit of a heavy field, so that's something that we're going to really be looking to continue to do. And but this is a game of moments, and we have to be prepared to be able to score a second goal for sure.
Coach, thank you for your time. Best of luck in the second half.
All right, thanks, guys.
Well, speaking of moments, here's one right here now for Georgetown. Off this set piece, they are in gray. Stanford is in the cardinal red and black. Ball in the header, and that'll be scooped up there by Andrew Thomas. By the way, was also an under-17 England cricketer, multi-talented. Here's Balut now for Stanford. Switch of play is on. Waldeck now will turn away from a tracking Georgetown Achara. And there's that possession you've been asking for here in the second half.
Right away. Step on the ball, let it do the work. And remember, they were able to go after Georgetown for about a 10-minute window, but the intermittent was just too much, and its consistency. That's what this program prides itself on. And they were just lacking that in the first half. Rough challenge at the top of the 18. That far side of the field. Remember how instrumental it was for Georgetown. Going down into the corner and really going after this shape. That's Nealis' side of the field. Dylan Nealis on the far side. Notice in the first half as well, he stayed home a lot. He didn't get up front as top as he normally does. And I thought that was interesting. Now they've got Achara over there on the right. So they've got a little bit of luxury to balance each other.
Giannis Nikopolidis to take this set piece. 11 appearances, 4 shutouts. His father, a legendary goalkeeper for teams in Greece like Olympiakos and Panathinaikos. Crosses blocked there, some good tracking back there from Sean O'Hearn.
We're trying to play, guys. Where are we playing? Too high ball.
Chara towards Dotson. Advantage is played here. They have found the feet here of Montez. That's who you want on the ball. Montez, Achara, shot is blocked. Montez threading the pass to Achara.
Achara's got to have the confidence. Take a touch and hit it. It's too methodical in the actions. Watch Keegan Hughes coming in on the backside of things. Really well done. Tanner Beason able to slow his run up. But right there, it's first touch across and then you hit it. The momentum already going against the Cardinals. That's where the spatial awareness has to come in. It should be 2-0.
Well, this took a favorable deflection here. It's Buddha now towards the top of the box. The ball died at the feet of Jared Gilby. It's Stanford still in possession here. Logan Poncho. Career assist for him. He had a huge block against Clemson, and Robbie Robinson to the back post through everybody. But a good moment to get some delivery in there. This is a positive start here for Stanford in the second half.
Especially out of Arda Balut, number 9, who's dropping down underneath Oseni Buddha. That was the issue that they started with. Zach Ryan goes out early on, and they lacked the presence of 2 boys up top. It was really just Buddha doing most of the work. But what Arda Balut's doing right now is he's dropping down into the midfield, starting to overload. Georgetown not allowed to push as many numbers forward, and they're just getting better possession on the ball. That side-to-side horizontal movements that's starting to stretch Georgetown. That's exactly where Stanford's trying to push the ball.
This game.
Stanford throw. Buddha tried to get turned there, denying the turn there beautifully was Rio Hope Gund, who's been in and around Buddha quite a bit here. So he's been in a seeking out space. Poncho off the throw. Again, very tough conditions. Rain continuing to come down here in the upper 40s. We apologize for the foul language you just heard. Looking back there was Paul Rothrock. He had 2 goals against Louisville. He's from the Sounders Academy program. Very aggressive. Also had 2 against Louisville. 3 goals, 7 assists for him, and I know you're high on him, Devin.
We have a bit of fun with Dylan Gillis on the right side, but Paul Rothrock has to carry the brunt of the load offensively because Sean O'Hearn, the outside left back, just doesn't step as much. In order to have the balance that Georgetown is looking for defensively, not only will Zawadski stay, but Sean O'Hearn sits there, and he's still got a couple assists to his credit. But Dylan Gillis is the one who pushes high, so Rothrock goes with him. And that's why it starts to look like a 3-5-2, 3-6-1 because of those 2 boys getting forward. He's got a tremendous amount of speed.
Well, is the fact that Georgetown is up 1-0 here, has that maybe tempered Dylan Gillis a little bit to be slightly more conservative here? Because to your point earlier, he has not joined in and really gotten into the final third quite a bit here tonight for Georgetown.
Based upon the way these things are playing out right now, this is something that they talked about because it is a calculated decision from the time that the whistle blew. He was going to sit a bit deeper. I don't mind it because we've seen that in previous games as well, where maybe they're a bit worried about the width that can or cannot be for a squad. So they'll say, okay, you can go and explore a bit more or you'll stay home. Chatting with him yesterday, he said, I've been given the green light to go. So if he wants to go, he will.
Well, here he goes. Here's Gillis. Speaking of giving the green light. Highly touted, tries a self-pass, goes down at the edge of the box. Not going to get a call from Mike Stutt, despite the lobbying.
He loves to run at players one-on-one. Tintingi, get around the outside. It's outside the box no matter what, so it's not a penalty, I can tell you that much. You can see the arms wrapped up, but notice Gillis leaning into it, almost imploring the referee to pay attention to him, asking for a foul. This is well done by the officiating crew, because it's not.
Referees tonight, Mike Stutt, Andrew Bigelow, and Diego Blas. Fourth official is Rubiel Vasquez. Georgetown with a 1-0 lead over Stanford. It happened 4 minutes in. A tremendous hit from long range from Sean Zawadski. By the way, it might have been a premonition because he rattled one off the crossbar against Washington from about 25 yards out in the Elite Eight. Good attack here being built by Rothrock. Cross whipped in and side footed away by Tanner Beeson. How about that? Chasing back defensively there, earning Georgetown a very pivotal throw in here.
Not the best distribution, being whipped in though by Achara on that far right side. Rothrock had tucked himself in, and once again, the rotation of players causing problems for the Stanford Cardinals.
Well, I was talking to St. John's coach Dave Major, and Dave reminded me that, look, this is a very, very deep Georgetown, and it's not playing players just for the sake of playing them. It's playing them because they all deserve playing time. It is quality through 18 players. That's exactly the number they used here in the first half. Buddha for Stanford now. He's drawn 3. It's a good ball here. Balut. It's back. What a hit. What a shot. Parried away. In the end, Nikopolidis had a beat on it all the way, but it was hit with tremendous power. That one jumping off the foot of Gilby.
Beautiful step by Jared Gilby coming out of the middle, and that's what they're looking for. when he starts to approach that role, much more of a 10 position, and Cam Silly sits, he's got to get into these one-on-one situations. That had glory written on it. The entire upper 90, Nicopolitis had other ideas.
Jared Gilby off the corner, 17 career assists. This one goes to the back post. There's a second ball there. Achara. And my apologies, that was Waldeck who took the set piece. Ball comes back into the box. Hoyas this year 18-1-3. They were number 1 in the Big East. This is their 10th NCAA tournament appearance. It is their second College Cup. They got all the way to the final in 2012 in Hoover, Alabama.
The 12-year was record-setting in so many ways for the Hoyas. Felt like they finally had their name etched on that trophy. Of course, Todd Yeagley and Indiana had other ideas, and he said, you know, we just wasted too many of our efforts in the semifinal. We had never been there before, weren't sure how to respond. What happened? Well, first ever number 16 seed Indiana waiting in the wings. They come up and they take down the national title.
Here's Derek Dotson now. Rothrock going up there against Poncho. Tackled away by Poncho, throwing for Georgetown here. And Georgetown's going to make some changes here. 2 players coming on. Off will go J.B. Fisher. Off will go Paul Rothrock. Now in the second half, if you are subbed out, you can re-enter once. Dante Polvara has come back on.
Returning to the pitch for Georgetown.
Well, Brian Weiss was an assistant at Stanford. Look at this bright young man. He could have been in a toothpaste commercial back then. Stanford assistant coach then under Bobby Clark. So very influential in his career, Devin.
I thought it was interesting how he talked about the last time that they lost in penalties. He was on the staff there, and he said, you know what? I'm not wishing anything bad against this program, but if I'm going up against them, I'm hoping some of that juju comes full circle if we have to go to the spot.
By the way, going back to 2012 in Hoover, Alabama, when they got to the final, he did make it very clear to us that he felt that he might have gotten too caught up in the media and all the other things that are extraneous and that are floating around a College Cup weekend. Said he learned greatly from that. And right now he's got a 1-0 lead over Stanford here.
You saw that example right out of our meeting. He knew exactly where he was going, what the boys were eating, and said, listen, win, lose, or draw, we know exactly what our schedule is going to be. He said it's hoping that it's on the win side, of course, and that the whistle blows. They've got their routine down, what the regen sessions are going to be, and, of course, the extra day to prepare tomorrow. Of course, they've got a little bit of time left here before they can start to make that journey.
Gilby fighting to win it back now. And Georgetown. Gillis still coming forward. He got dumped. That's going to be a free kick. So they tried to work a 1-2. Stepping into his pass, taking him down was Stanford. It's going to set up a very dangerous free kick, and it's going to be a yellow card here. Now issued to Derek Waldeck.
Gillis knows this is coming where the momentum.
Well, my apologies. I think that's Keegan Tingy who will get the yellow.
Just stepping up through, and he has to be smarter there. You know, the referee is a bit indecisive right now, and as a player, you have to understand that. Not exactly sure what he's going to call, but the 2 boys standing over it right now. Give you the luxury of both in-swinger or whipping something all the way to the back post. I'd like to see one redirected back across the 6. They have yet to implore that.
Stanford employing a 3-man wall here to cut out the near post. Great look here from behind the goal. Ball driven in. A good defensive header. Second ball is won, though, by Georgetown. They hit it right back into the box. Poncho will clear it now. Buda in a foot race here, taking a glance behind him was Sean O'Hearn. And he just gets run over there by Oseni Buda.
Smart by Sean O'Hearn on the far side. Notice shielding off, hoping the ball goes over the end line. Buddha getting stuck in, and once again, you're starting to approach that area, right? 30 minutes to go, up 1-0. Not exactly cruising, but each second starting to tick off the clock here, and I really like how Stanford started. But once again, Georgetown, they make the subs. They go so deep into their bench, and it doesn't even seem like they miss a beat. It's almost an extra level. Gives them another dimension where Achara has switched from the right to the left. Rothrock goes off, Rithier back on. There are just so many options that they have.
Achara. It's been a breath of fresh air with the ankle injury, getting him back for this weekend. He sure has brought energy, that's for sure. He's going to get called for the foul.
You know, the one who's been the quietest, Glenn? We haven't seen a lot out of Jacob Montes. He's been held at bay in the middle of the field. For a guy who's pretty good on the ball, and they like to run so much through, Stanford's been able to shut him down, but they haven't been able to account for that man. Achara came in about 30 minutes into this match, has yet to be taken off, shifting side to sides and constantly questioning this simplistic shape by Stanford. You don't always need a full match, do you? Think about last game, Washington down. Didn't exactly start the best in the first half and enter that man 70 minutes in. About 20 yards out, just outside the box, upper 90, thank you very much, and they were off and running. And much like you see out of the Georgetown Hoyas, that's something you got to think about for Stanford as well. The Cardinal boys know exactly what they have to do, and though this hasn't been their best night so far, there's still plenty of time to get the job done.
Now with these conditions here quickly coming to mind, you'd have to think about a 2-semester sport here, and it would eliminate, you know, weekends like this being so determined in some ways by inclement weather and poor weather.
Number 22.
Maryland, Sasha Sarovsky has been really lobbying for, amongst other coaches, for a 2-semester soccer season.
Trying to turn that into a bit of legislation that they're actually going to get the opportunity to vote on come this April, picking that man's brain. It's something that, look, it's not just at the collegiate level. We talk about where this country is going in terms of the sport. These young men that are on the field right now are what need to change a little bit in terms of their workload. You spread that out a little bit. Now you can start to dive deeper into tactical sessions. Their bodies aren't suffering as much. Achara is one of the guys we talked about. You give them a chance to get a bit more of a regroup session here and there. You're going to have a much better finished product on the pitch.
Change the way the college game is played as well, no question about it, and allow coaches to do so much more. One over hit there by Georgetown. Hold on, 1-0 lead here over Stanford. 3 prior meetings, Georgetown has never lost to Stanford. 2 wins and a draw. Stanford bypasses midfield. Balut was the target. Ball left there. Buddha. Real heavy over there and slow. See the water jumping up as the ball's passed. Talk about scoring first and the importance of that here tonight for Georgetown.
Coming in, they had something like 150, 170 minutes. That's it, that they had been behind all season long. So they know how to get in front. They know how to stay on front, more importantly. And we're starting to see a pretty good idea that was important to Weiss, where he said, we haven't changed all season long when it came to the goalkeepers, but he was worried about how this was going to play out for his field players.
Montes, speaking of a Montes sighting, we were asking for it. He is capable of doing some exceptional things off the dribble. Hey, tomorrow afternoon on ESPN and the ESPN app, we've got a great men's college basketball doubleheader. Bitter rivalry. It starts with Penny Hardaway's 13th ranked Memphis Tigers, Rick Barnes' 19th ranked Tennessee Vols. That one in Knoxville, 3 Eastern. Then John Calipari, number 8 Kentucky, against Georgia Tech at Rupp Arena in Lexington. Big long diagonal ball there, headed away. Gabe Siegel.
I like that ball. Some people at home might be questioning why he's coming all the way back across the field. Here's why. You're in a win-win situation. Your guy goes up, wins the 50-50 ball, and you've got an opportunity to go to goal. If not, it's a clearance by Stanford over the sideline, and now you reset your lines, right? Now you've compressed it into 30, 35 yards, and they've got 10 of their boys within 45 yards of goal right now. Everybody pushed up in. That's much more difficult to defend.
Ticking down towards 26 minutes left. Stanford and Jeremy Gunn getting set to make 2 changes. Dodson trying to draw the foul there. Well, the Virginia Cavaliers have arrived here in Cary, North Carolina. They are the #1 seed coming into this one, led by Joe Bell. 7-time College Cup champions George Gelnevach looking for his 3rd title. Wake Forest under Bobby Muse, under his tutelage, looking for their 1st. And well, familiarity may breed contempt in that one.
I'll tell you, some of those Virginia faces are going, oh boy, this is a bit colder than our hotel rooms were just about 15 minutes ago.
Weehan and Richmond have come back on, all at the top of the box. It's got to be a free kick here. Georgetown is claiming that may have been the last man.
Not only is it the last man, they're wondering as to whether or not there's an actual attempt to play on the ball. Coming from behind, caught out of position, Keegan Hughes. You know, there's an argument. It's just outside of the box. Derek Dodson doing a good job playing off that back shoulder. Second chance, lovely ball that splits the back line. All he gets is the player. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because the ball is that close. It's very well done by Dodson to get that last-ditch touch just before the challenge comes. But watch out, now you're in trouble. Jacob Montez territory. This is a very similar spot to where he put this one in the back of the net.
That was in the comeback 2-1 victory. Montez scoring in the 72nd minute against Washington. Stanford fully aware of this and his danger.
But I'll tell you this, both times that he's gone from this distance, it's been the upper right corner. The goalkeeper savior on that side, he hasn't cheated whatsoever, and Montez goes right at him.
Georgetown stacking a few players on the end of the wall. It will be Montez, and this one way over the top after the big build-up, and out for the goal kick for Stanford.
You go back to the challenge coming back through. Riviere does such a good job. He has Keegan Hughes and Tanner Beeson checking exactly where they're supposed to be. Hughes gets it wrong, and thought Jacob Montez maybe was going to finish this thing off for the Hoyas, or at least give themselves an opportunity to, but leans back the entire way, form failing him the entire time.
That's unbelievable. That's a different. You have a seat. We're in. Damn it,
Giannis Nicopolidis has been protected very well here today. Bigger ball, more direct. Second ball is picked up by Montez. He tried to push it forward, but that's going to be a foul there. Big hit there. Another yellow card is going to come out here to Georgetown. Foster McCune.
Foster McCune.
We'll pick it up. Logan Poncho. Wake Forest now, under Bobby Muse, number 4 seed. They are making their way in here to Wake Med Park. Demon Deacons 7-1-1 against ranked opponents. That is coming up next. Virginia and Wake Forest at 8:30 Eastern, right here on ESPN. Georgetown trying to book their ticket here against Stanford. Still plenty of time left in this, under 24 minutes left now.
Ken Lerner, Georgetown.
Still Georgetown took a deflection to the back post. The header is in. McCune has scored. The sub off the bench has provided a second for the Hoyas.
Brian Weeks said coming into the second half, we have to be ready to go out and get a second goal. Sean Sawatsky put them out in front of the 4th minute. Look at this ball that he goes and runs and whips it all the way back across. 3 and 4 players for Stanford get caught watching. The secondary run on the back post by Foster McCune is the one who finishes up. How about Derek Dotson coming to the near post, throws them off just a little bit. Look at the slide and every single person getting involved. You know about Will Sands, you know about Paul Rothrock, but when they need to dig deep down into this bench, they look to Foster McCune. That's only his 3rd of the season, but it's probably the most instrumental one of the night.
67th minute. Delivery took the slightest of deflections and threw Stanford off. He was Johnny on the spot. He was sharper in the penalty area. It's 2-0 Georgetown. And it's all for them to manage this game out now here against Stanford.
Come on, do the work. Do the work.
Waldeck back on for Richmond. You really got to give it to these two teams of players here under these conditions and producing the effort they've put in here tonight. Siegel back on for Balut for Stanford. They really have had a hard time carving out good chances here tonight. Sports Center tonight after Clippers Timberwolves with Kenny Mayne and John Anderson. They'll have post-game reaction. Plus LeBron back in Miami, the Lakers taking on the Heat. Our picks for the 3 title fights at UFC 245. Sports Center after the NBA on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Good job, Riley. There you go, Riley. Hey, hey, hey. Oh yeah, beer.
That's a Georgetown Hoyas goal. Was scored by number 22, Foster McCune. His 3rd of the season.
Georgetown free kick here now.
Comes unassisted in the 67th minute of play. Again for the Hoyas, 22 McCune. His 3rd of the season, unassisted in the 67th minute. Georgetown 2.
Waldeck is down, punching the surface here. Sawatsky doing his magic out wide here, gets the delivery in.
This kid's a beast, and having an opportunity to pick his brain, I said, you've got to feel right at home with all the rotation coming out of the Berhalter system of the Columbus Crew. He sits in the 6, but look at his ability to just weave his own beautiful web of tapestries on that right-hand side. Dissected them the entire way, and all of that space just opened up on the far post. Wasn't an easy finish, but it was pretty easy to put in the back of the net considering all the work had been done early on.
I believe the slightest of touches from Dotson becomes a bigger piece of that goal than we know.
It's that near post run where they dragged them a little bit, a little deflection, and everybody got caught flat-footed.
Stanford, one thing's for sure, they're not going to die here. Ticking down towards 20 minutes left.
And 11, Jack Beer stepped on for the Hoyas.
You heard Brian Weiss, we're not taking any chances in our defensive third of the field. Play forward under these conditions. Helped on by Polvara, knocked forward here. Bringing it back was Keegan Hughes. Tackled away by Sean O'Hearn, Jr. from Montville, Pennsylvania. Buddha. Spin off two. Tackle was missed. Still Buddha. His legs got tied up. He wants a foul. Not going to get it. Georgetown waiting to get some players in front of the ball here. Holding on to it beautifully to allow that time for Foster McCune to get in front of the ball there. Here's Georgetown into the box to the far post. Second ball. Waldeck is going to get there for Stanford. Interesting statistic there for Stanford. Only 5 shots tonight. 2 tonight, 5 is the lowest this year against UCLA. Well, maybe as much as we've talked about Georgetown from an attacking perspective, collectively they have been tuned in defensively here as a team with their shape and compactness and ability in transition to recover here.
The difference for Stanford on that game against UCLA was they were actually able to squeak a win out 1-0. The shape for Georgetown has been so impressive on this back four. I'm really impressed by Gillis and his ability to stay at home. He's had his hands full with Buddha on that far side. And again, even up 1, Stanford had about a 5-minute spell start of the second half, and you thought, okay, maybe we can have a go at this, but they stuck to their morals. Just started to find a way to knock it around a little bit. They've been much more physical too. Notice they've thrown their bodies around a bit more, and I've seen some responses out of the guys in the middle like Jared Gilby and Cam Silly. Outside of that, there hasn't really been that imposing figure, whether it be up top or one of the boys on the back line, to just go out and make a statement tackle. It's been all Hoyas.
First to it again was Sean O'Hearn in the air. Left back for Georgetown is very well here today. Jack Beer with the tackle there. This is really about determination and blood and guts right now. Big switch of play. Tucked in beautifully there. It was Nealis. Again, just tremendous work positionally from him. Again, one of the things that people rave about. Stanford just can't get their possession going. Free kick Georgetown here. Brought down was Polvara, a freshman from Pleasantville, New York. O'Hearn is capable of hitting a good ball over distance. As you look at Andrew Thomas, he will angle that to the back post. Buddha back against Jack Beer. Another change. Rocha will come on for the goal scorer, McCune. Eden Rocha, a freshman from Brookville, Maryland.
Another Hoyas substitution. Entering is 18. Eden Roach. He replaces 22, Foster McCune. Again, Georgetown 18, Rocha.
Maybe 19 or 20 different players now have been used by Georgetown.
Notice the way they do it as well for Brian Weiss. He's not going back to the same guys. Aiden Rocha has been on the bench the entire match. 15 minutes to go. Go down to the corner, warm up for me. It's time for you to get involved. And that's the belief that he has in all of his players. And coming in, Glenn, you and I were talking about it. It's not just the fact that there's talent. It's the level of the talent. It's not just the first 11. 15, 20 guys that you can go deep. And again, it's not just suiting them against Stanford. the way things are going, they're going to have another match in 48 hours. So these guys are going to have a lot fresher legs compared to the likes of a Wake Forest or UVA that only use 15, 16, 17 players.
These aren't substitutions just to kind of hold the line. These are substitutions where players are coming in are capable of their own doings, and McEwen, perfect example of that, getting goal number 2. Stanford breakout here. Pull a goal back here if you're the Cardinal. Could make this interesting. But it has been a very resilient group of Georgetown Hoyas to break down here today for the Cardinal. One pass away from it was Jack Beer. Let's take a look at the recap here. 4 minutes in, this blast would light up Cary, North Carolina.
Sean Zwodzki, take a bow, my friend. Went out last game, wondered if he would be able to not only go, but go for a long period of time. He's answered all of those questions and more. Gets the goal in the 4th minute. He's the distributor in the 67th. Foster McEwen puts them up by 2, and they're cruising right now. And they can smell the final right around the corner.
Ethan Lochner now on as well. From New York, New York. By the way, he's a graduate student. 20th appearance for him.
Returning is number 9, Balut. He replaces number 8, Jared Gilby.
Sean O'Hearn sticks it towards the corner flag here. It's going to make Jack Beer run after it. Big ball. This one towards Buda. Second ball tonight has been won consistently by Georgetown. This is Sean Zwodzki knocking it towards the corner flag now.
Couple more. Couple more,
Game becoming very, very direct here as time beginning to play on the minds of Stanford. Buda is a one-man show here, finally tackled away at the edge of the 18. Free kick Georgetown. Brought down Sean Zwodzki.
Glenn, notice as Stanford starts pumping these balls up over the top, even when they're able to bring one down like they did just now, the Hoyas have tracked all the way back. It's an 8v4, very difficult to break down, and that was one of the things, again, that we mentioned earlier on, but it has to be a focal point for this team. Yes, they score 2, 3, 4 goals a game. That's great. But they're counter-tracking on the defensive shape. The balance is so beautiful to watch because as soon as it breaks down and they go the other way, Stanford knocks it up, they play off each other. You think it's a transitional movement that's coming and a quick firepower. That's not the case whatsoever because the minute you bring it down, you're being swarmed by 2, 3, 4 players. And again, it doesn't help the fact that Buda's pretty much up there by himself. They're really struggling without Ryan.
There's Brian Weiss. The moment he played in Zimbabwe as a player, it was arranged by his former coach, Bobby Clark.
20, Achara.
O'Hearn played it short. Achara was running away from them here. Weehan. It's a good ball from Weehan. Better defending here. Shielding off Balut was Rio Hope Gund, who's been very, very solid as a center back here today for Georgetown. Immovable object.
Smart, by the way, that he doesn't get involved here. He recognizes that they've got a pretty good chance of another game coming up, and they exchange some words. It's just frustration boiling over for Balut up top. Had a long night with not a lot of success, and that man right there has been one of the main reasons. Rio Hope Gun, New York Soccer Club boy who he's won the state championship, won a national championship with his club at the youth level, and now just hoping that that progression continues on for the Georgetown Hoyas and to be a part of it.
Good look there at Rio Hope Gund. 19th appearance, a junior.
For Stanford.
Solid center back play here tonight from him. Game has been, for stretches, very aerial at times here tonight, and there's been a lot of competing for balls like these. Waldeck. Idea was good, but again, look at Gillis just tucking in beautifully as a right back now. Staying at home, deciding to defend, making the decision to help manage out this 2-0 lead. Jack Beer is going to earn a free kick here. No hurry from Georgetown. Coverage of the NCAA championships continues with the Men's College Cup Final Sunday, 6 Eastern on ESPNU. For more information on the NCAA Men's College Cup, log on to ncaa.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. Coming up, Wake Forest and Virginia. With a little over 10 minutes left, things looking very good for the Hoyas of Georgetown. Buda. Initial pressure, the effort that Stanford has had to make to get out of their own half here tonight. Taxing and wearing itself.
Even now, Glenn, as they start to move up, and you drop back in with Gabe Siegel, Oseni Buda's far out on the left touchline. And when you're going to play a shape like this, it has to be much better in terms of execution. We're not questioning tactics whatsoever, but it's the players on the field that has to be better decision making. You drop back in. When you look up, you can't have your main striker 50 yards down in the corner. Got to find a way to play off of each other better in these closing moments.
Waldeck. Loose ball. It's swept out of there by Georgetown. And not taking any chances. Waldeck will win it back. He's going to switch it here on the right side now. Every ball that's hit forward is won by Georgetown. Char. Jack Beer. Back towards a Char. Didn't have a bend or a curl on that to put it in the path of his run at Stanford down. Pressure, good team shape tonight has been married by Georgetown. It's a big hit, that's blocked. And tonight for Giannis Nikopolidis, it's really been a mental game.
Little cup of tea back there.
Been a mental game, really, you know, because he has rarely been tested here tonight.
It's easy for us to sit up here and go, yeah, you know, it has been kind of an off night, but we have to remember the communication that starts from the back to keep all of these boys in proper shape, and the discipline is obviously decision making in terms of the back line, and whether it's Dylan Neal staying home or Sean O'Hearn knocking a long ball and allowing these boys to reset.
He's going to drop in a dangerous place here, but Thomas is going to basket catch that, distribute it quickly here.
And that all starts from their goalkeeper, Nikopolidis. Tonight, Tomas Romero. Sunday, at least the way things have gone, and it is quite impressive how they can give each of them the ample amount of opportunities rotating back and forth. And the guys on the back line don't mind it. They say they've got some different attributes here and there, but communication is key, and both of them have it, and you've seen that tonight.
This result holds up here tonight. It'll be a 13th shutout for Georgetown, and as much as we've talked about their attacking prowess, it's their defending that's really impressing us here tonight. It would be Nikopolidis' 5th shutout for that man, Brian Weiss. And we were already told he would not start on Sunday. If Georgetown sees this out and gets themselves there, they've platooned their 2 goalkeepers. It would be Tomas Romero in the national championship game, but still 6 minutes and change here to go, and this is Stanford. They're going to earn a corner here. This could be a way to get back in it here. If we were to produce something off this corner here, this would make for an interesting finish. kind of a hybrid of zonal defending here, man-to-man marking. Waldeck to take it for Stanford. Georgetown again winning the aerial duels here. Got to go out for the goal kick.
And 3, Georgetown substitution.
Dodson, Rothrock coming back on to see this out.
Paul Rothrock. Number 7, Jacob Montez. And number 9,
Montez also coming back on. The depth of Georgetown, vital here tonight, and also the fact that they just don't skip a beat. You know, sometimes teams, when they make all these changes, Devin, all of a sudden you see a different team out there, but from the standpoint of team shape and structure, things did not change here with all these substitutions tonight.
Also for the Cardinals, is number 8, Jared Gillis.
Fisher brought down, free kick Georgetown.
Level never drops off. Tactically, they were brilliant, able to maintain the same composition, and what a luxury. 5.5 minutes to go up to, and off the bench, you're bringing in your midfielder of the year. Big East midfielder of the year, Jacob Montez. Paul Rothrock, his ability to stretch the game on this far side on the left all night long. And of course, their big guy up top, Derek Dodson, smartly, by the way, down in the corner, just looking to see this out.
There's Rothrock. Tackled away, Georgetown will keep possession here. Back in 2012, they got all the way to the final only to lose to Indiana. And we spoke about how much they learned at that tournament. They are minutes away from punching their ticket to Sunday's national championship game here in Cary, North Carolina. Game being played down in this far corner of the field here. Under 4 minutes left. Zawatsky in the 4th, in the 67th, McCune. Dodson now in pursuit here. It's going to be headed back into the arms of Andrew Thomas. Stanford's such a difficult team to play against. It's always a character examination here. There is no question tonight Georgetown has matched them physically and with the mental strength as well.
The question coming in was not necessarily as to whether or not they could compete with them, but the Cardinals have been here so many times before. You've got guys on this team that are two-time national champions, and oh, by the way, they made a little run last year as well, and could they be able to go toe-to-toe with them? To your point, Glenn, they've done that and more. I mean, they have been brilliant from start to finish, and outside of basically...
Buddha, there's a whistle. It'll be a free kick, Georgetown.
15 minutes, we'll say, in the first half, and maybe 5 at the start of the second. This issue has never been in doubt. Credit to Brian Weiss and the fact that they have stayed true to themselves. He said, I'm going to rotate. I'm going to continue with the goalkeepers at the back. At no point in time did they ever get away from any game plan that they've ever executed in the past. The same thing here. The writing was on the wall, but they still went out and stuck it to Stanford. And you got to feel for the Cardinal a little bit here, right? They get back to the College Cup after what maybe some people called a down year, and definitely was not whatsoever. But you can just see some of that finesse that they've had in years past. The technical players, maybe that big goal scorer up top. They don't have it, and it showed, especially up top in that number 9 position.
Yeah, and they're relying on a freshman in Osenimbuna, who has had his moments. He will be a great one for the future. Under 2 minutes left here. Pancho headed forward. O'Hearn goes up again and wins the header. Rothrock drives it off Pancho. It's going to be a Georgetown throw in here.
Bit of gamesmanship by Sean O'Hurt down in the corner, switching the ball, and referee sees that. Just take your time. Longer strides, throw this down the pitch, and get a little flick on. Minute and a half. Get yourself another 90 minutes and go after a title.
Jeremy Gunn pondering this one. He has won 3 national titles in the last 4 years. Just over a minute left from being eliminated is Stanford. We are now under a minute here.
1 minute remaining in the contest.
Well, a big congratulations to the Stanford women, but unless a miracle happens here, it's looking very tough for the Stanford men. Georgetown with 35 seconds left. Montes. The Hoyas beginning to celebrate on the far side of the field. Fans who've stood here drenched in this rain have been as game as their team has on the field. Yeah. 10 seconds left.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It is one for the ages for Georgetown.
Final score. Our first semifinal here.
They will go to the national championship game on Sunday. Tonight, dominant in all facets of the game, Devin.
They deserve it. And their game plan was executed to the fullest, and pretty much from start to finish. Now you prepare. And now is the time that Brian Weiss talked to us about where, okay, we're going to go out and get the job done. But now you turn the corner and you've got 90 minutes, less than 48 hours away, so they're going to take